Hey everybody, I'm Glenn and this is Fun King 3D. And I just wanted to make this video to kind of walk you through setting up an Octopi setup for your 3D printer. So stick with us. All right, so first of all, let's kind of cover what you're going to need for this particular project. First and foremost, you'll need a Raspberry Pi. This happens to be the Raspberry Pi 3 Model B. I would, at this point, I would go ahead and just get a Raspberry Pi 3. It's the strongest one that they make currently. It's going to cause you a lot less grief in the long run. It's already got Wi-Fi built into it. It's got Bluetooth built into it. So, and price-wise, it's really not bad. It runs about $35 on Amazon. You will need a micro SD card. I would suggest at least a 16 gig, which is what this one is. I do actually run the other printer on an 8 gig, and so far it's okay. But I would suggest a 16 gig in a class 10, so that way you get good read and write speeds. Not necessarily necessary, but I believe heat is bad for electronics, so I went ahead and got a heatsink kit. I like this particular heatsink kit because the bottom heatsink is thin, so it fits in most cases. All this stuff will be linked in the description. You'll also need a power adapter, at least 2.5 amps for a Pi 3, 2 amps for a Pi 2. This particular one I like because of the length of the cord. It has a nice long cord on it, so you don't have to have it too close to the power supply. Again, links in the description for that. And you can't just have your Raspberry Pi laying around bare naked. You got to put it in a house. This happens to be my favorite Raspberry Pi 3 case ever, and only because I'm biased because I designed it. It is available on Thingiverse for download. The cases that were on there, the Pi 2 has a push to release SD card. The Pi 3 does not. So I set out to design my own case based on the fact that I needed to be able to hook and remove that SD card, but also made it recessed for the bottom heatsink, added a 30mm case fan capacity for it, slots for the display and the camera cords. So wonderful, best case ever. All right, your mileage may vary. I have a few screws here for the case, which are just from my local hardware store. They are number 4x3/4. If you can find number 4x1/2, do it. 3/4 is overkill. These ones also happen to be stainless. I don't think that's necessary either. So I think that's all it's going to take to do this. So let's get rolling. So first of all, you're going to want to go to the Octopi website, which is octopi.octoprint.org. Down in the description is a link, and you're going to want to download the latest version of Octopi, whatever the current one is at the time that you're doing this. I went ahead and downloaded it. It comes in as a zip file like this. I unzipped it here to my desktop. So go ahead and take your SD card, little tiny guys, and put it into your reader. Now you're going to need Win32 disk imager to write that image to the SD card. Make sure you put your SD card into the machine first, because sometimes if you don't, the disk imager won't see the SD card. Once that guy is up, you can see here that it's defaulted to E, which is, and I will confirm that real quick, but E should be, yes, E is my SD card. You're going to want to choose your image. All right, so once you've chosen your image file, which mine happens to be on the desktop, and you have your device selected where your SD card is, you're going to come down here to write. Now it's going to ask you if you want to overwrite it. And you're going to say, yeah, go ahead and continue. All right, so that's done. It took about about 2.5 minutes to do that, but the write was successful on it. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to open that particular drive. Once you have that drive open, we're going to look for a file called Octopi Network TXT. Now, if you don't already have Notepad++ or another good editor, not standard Notepad. Standard Notepad will tear files like this up. You'll end up opening it. It'll be one big jumbled mess up at the top. So you want something decent like Notepad++. If you don't have it, go get it. It's free. Links in the description. So you're going to want to come in here and you're going to want to edit that with Notepad++. If you're going to run this through a Wi-Fi network, you will want to make your changes right here. Chances are you're not running a WEP secured network, which is this guy down here. If you are, you should probably consider upgrading. You definitely do not want to run this through an open or unsecured network, unless it's absolutely only you and that device. So, but that's I guess grounds for a whole different video. So you're going to come here to your WPA2 secured area. In this box right here, you're going to put the name of your wireless network, your Wi-Fi network. If you don't happen to know what that name is, you can actually find out by going to the network icon down by your clock if the computer you're on is wireless. But chances are you know what your Wi-Fi network is. If you don't know what your password is, you'll have to acquire that as well. Sometimes it's directly on the router, on a sticker. Some people write it on the router. Some people just know what it is. So you'll want to enter those two pieces of information in here. At this time, I am not going to do that because I am going to physically connect this to my network. I'm going to connect in through the Cat5 connection, which let's go ahead and pop this guy out of the box so you can see what it looks like. The reason that I run mine wired instead of wireless is for some reason my other one would lose network connectivity in the middle of a print, and it was causing me problems, and I didn't want that anymore, so I went wired. It's got a Cat5 jack on it right here. Works fantastically well for me. So once you've made those changes there, you're going to save. Now if you're running on a wired network, you don't have to do anything. This file will be just fine without it. You'll want to click your save button up here once you've made your changes and exit out of there. At that time, the changes to that SD card are done. You can actually eject that from your machine. Take it out of your computer, and we can now put it into our Pi. So pop us over here to super zoom in land. It's going to go in just like this, and you're just going to push it in firm. There is no click to release on the Pi 3, only on the Pi 2, or Pi's prior to Pi 3. So once we have that guy in, we're going to need a power adapter. Let me adjust the focus on this. We can see this table a little better. That works. I'm going to disappear for a quick second. Never have enough outlets. All right, now, if you are running wirelessly, you'll be able to just apply power. I have to steal a network cable. I'm going to steal that from my other Raspberry Pi. As you can see, I've plugged in my cat cable. You know, let's take just a quick second. Let's put some heat sinks on this guy. Bring this camera in a little closer. So the flat one. That one's going to go down here on the bottom, and you want to center it to that chip best that you can, and just give it a little squeeze from the top side. These other two are the same size. So you have a chip here and a chip here. Again, you want to try to center it as much as possible. A little squeeze. And a little squeeze. And let's go ahead and throw it into the case while we're at it too. So, again, when I designed this case, I made it fit very tightly. It's got the pieces in between the jacks to seal it off. I reinforced those so they don't break. It is a very snug fit in there. And it leaves enough of a gap in the back here where you can hook that SD card and pull it out with your thumbnail. I will now, through movie magic, speed this part up. And done. So as you can see, the holes were made for the number 4 screws. Everything is nice and flush. Nothing sticks out, won't scratch your desk up. Good little case. Designer did a good job. All right. So now that we took that time, I'm going to go ahead and put that network cable in. We're going to apply power to our Pi. You can see down in there, you can see the power light and the status light. So you want to give that a moment or two to go ahead and boot up fully. Now you're technically done with this, so it can go off to the side or whatever. You won't be physically accessing that anymore. Once that's booted, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to locate the IP address of that device. Now you have 3 different ways to do this. Well, there's probably more, but I'll give you 3 ways to do this. One, if you know how to access your router, you can go into your router, you can look in the DHCP area and see where it has been assigned. For the PC, you can download a program called Angry IP Scanner, which the link's down in the description. You can run that on your PC, and it will go out and search your network and find your Octopi. I happen to use an app on my phone that's called Fing, F-I-N-G, also linked down in the description. And for security reasons, I'm not going to give you a screen grab of that. I am actually using my real network. I am setting this up live for my use on my Prusa printer. So I am doing a scan right now of my network. If you guys would like to see a tutorial on Fing, leave a comment down in the comments, and I will work on putting a tutorial together for it. It's really simple. Once your device is connected to your wireless network, you hit the scan button. It's going to go out and go. Now my particular network is set up where my DHCP range is from 100 to 124. And I see that this one is coming up as Octoprint instance on Octopi on 112. So in this particular situation, my IP address for that guy is 112. So your next step is going to be, well, making note of that IP. You definitely want to know what that IP is. If for whatever reason you have a problem scanning the network, or it's not showing up, or whatever, there is another option, and I'll show you in just a second. So the next piece of software that you'll need is PuTTY, and that link is in the description as well. And once you have PuTTY downloaded and installed, and I would suggest, if you're on a Windows system, to go ahead and get the Windows installer and just install it. It is it's a fantastic little terminal program for SSH. So you're going to come into PuTTY and you're going to put that IP address in this box. Now, if you don't have that IP address, you can actually try octopi.local. In theory, if you only have one Octopi on your network, this should work. If you have more than one and they both have the same host name, which we will get to host names in a few minutes, then this will not work, and you'll have to use the IP address. You're going to want to make sure your port is 22 and it's on SSH, and you're going to hit open. And if all goes well, and it doesn't change screens, mine shifted screens. So you're going to get this message the very first time that you open it up. This is just telling you that your machine is never attached to this particular device. It wants to know if this key is legit. If you know that you are connecting to your Pi, you can hit yeah, that you want to go and that you want to store that. And it's going to give you a lovely little terminal window like this. Your login is going to be Pi. The password is going to be Raspberry. Don't worry about memorizing that, because we are going to change it. We are going to change it. All right, so once you get to the Octopi command prompt, the first thing that we're going to want to do is make some configuration changes using the raspi config utility. So you first have to type sudo, which is elevating your user rights, space raspi hyphen config. So that's sudo space raspi hyphen config, and you're going to hit enter, and that's going to fire up this utility right here. If I can make that a little bit bigger. Nope, that's just all it's going to give us. So, all right, so your first step is going to be option 1. You want to change the user password. So you're just going to hit enter on that. And this is going to have you enter a new password. You absolutely positively want to do this. Even if you're 99% sure that your Pi will never be connected to any open network or that nobody will ever access your network, don't leave it the default. It's like having the password of password. So go ahead and hit enter a second time. It's going to take you to here. Now, when you enter your new password, it is not going to show it. And it's going to do just like that. I entered my password. It doesn't show up. It's going to ask you to enter it a second time to make sure that you did it right. And now my password has been successfully changed. The next thing that we want to do is change our host name. Now, this is, I will say it's optional, but if you're ever even remotely thinking that you may add a second Raspberry Pi or Octopi, you're going to want to change the host name so that they don't show up the same in your network list. Now, default is Octopi. All of my network stuff is named after Marvel characters. We happen to have named the printers Rocket, which is the A8, and Groot, which is our Prusa. So this is actually going to be Groot. And that takes care of our password and our host name. And once you're done, you're going to come down. You're going to go down one more beyond here. You're going to right arrow twice, which will take you to finish, and then enter will take you out of there. Generally, at this point, it wants a reboot, which for some reason it no longer prompts for that. If you get to this prompt and it has not rebooted, if you type sudo space shutdown space -r space NOW. So that's sudo space shutdown space -r space now. And what that's doing is sudo is elevating our user level. It's telling it that we want to shut down with a restart, and we want to do it right now. Now, if you see, there is an error message that popped up back behind here. Unable to resolve host Octopi, because remember, we changed our host name, but that's okay. So at this time, that is now shutting down and restarting the Octopi. So you can actually you can close out of PuTTY and reopen it, but once this is restarted, we're going to actually right click here and we're going to restart the session. But we're going to give that just a second. All right, so once your Raspberry Pi, that's going to call it an Octopi, but once your Raspberry Pi has rebooted, it's time now to open it in your browser. So at this time, you can go ahead and scan again just to see. And I'm going to do a quick scan with Fing. Chances are the IP address will still be the same, but our host name should have changed. And it now says Octoprint instance on Groot. So it did in fact change our host name. That's perfect. So coming over to your browser, again, you can enter the IP address, or you should be able to enter now whatever you changed your host name to, .local. So I should be able to open Groot.local. And it did not work. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do it by IP address. And there is our Octoprint. So here's the setup wizard. We're going to just go ahead and walk through this. Access control, again, very important. Do not skip this. Again, even if you're 99% sure that your Octoprint will never touch an outside network, or nobody else will ever be inside on your network. You just never know. So go ahead and pick a username, which I'm going to use Glenn. Enter your password. And you want to click this blue Keep Access Control Enabled button. I am now successfully logged in as Glenn. And we are going to click Next. At this time, I'm not going to set up a slicing profile. You are more than welcome to. It's something that we can cover in a future video, but for now, I'm actually just going to skip that. The default printer profile, this is where we're going to name the printer. You can actually give it a name of what it is. ANET A8, Prusa i3 Mark IIs, whatever. However you want to name it. I happen to know the names of my printers. I only have two, Rocket and Groot. So I'm going to go ahead and set it up that way. Here in the model is a Prusa i3 MK2S. My printer has a rectangular bed. My origin is the lower left. It is a heated bed. My bed is a width of 250 millimeter, a depth of 210 millimeter, and a height of 200 millimeter. I do not need a custom bounding box. Axes, this will come into play later on with some plugins or for odd printers. I'm not going to cover it at this time. My nozzle diameter is 0.4 and I only have one extruder. I'm going to click Next and Finish. So it needs to reload the server software, the Octoprint software itself. So we're going to go ahead and hit reload. All right, so now that we are in Octoprint, we need to plug the USB cable into our Pi. And I don't know why, but I always choose to take the one on the bottom closest to the network. It doesn't matter, or to the network connection. It doesn't matter. It's a personal preference. I actually printed out these cool little caps to block the rest of the USB, just to keep them clean. This is a brand new thing. I've never even used these. Hopefully they fit, because I'll look like a fool if I go to put these in and they don't fit. Oh, like a glove. These aren't really necessary, but I will. Sorry, I will have these on Thingiverse. They just block up the extra USB ports. I'll have those uploaded to Thingiverse by the time you guys see this video. It was just a thought that I had. It'd be really cool to block off the rest of the ports that I wasn't using. I didn't make one for the HDMI or any of that, but at least it keeps the junk out of the USB port. All right, so sometimes auto will work. You're going to want to change your baud rate to 115,200. I'm going to click the save, and I'm also going to click auto connect, because, well, I want it to automatically connect. And we're going to try connect. And we're connected. Now, if by some chance, let me see if I'll pull that connection back down. We're going to disconnect. If by some chance you hit that connect button and it does not connect, it gives you an error, you may have to come in here and manually choose your serial port. But then again, it's not really a big deal. You click connect and it goes, and it's actually going to connect faster if you've actually chosen your serial port, because it's not having to scan for others. So, and here it is actually pulling up some of the G code that is already on my SD card, which is pretty cool. Let me get rid of this. To bring G code over, I went ahead and threw one here. If you drag this over, you'll see here you can upload to the SD card. Here you can upload locally. Locally means to your Pi. SD card would be the SD card in the machine. So at this point, I'm not actually going to drop it, but if I was to drop it in there, it would upload it. You can actually download it back. Download it back. You can remove it, throw it in the trash can. You can load the file and then click print here when you're ready, or you can click this last one, which will load and print the file. Over here is your heating controls. There are preset, and you can change this up in your settings, but there are preset temperatures. Because for me, 180 degrees for PLA is really cold. The PLAs that I use, I print somewhere like 205 to 215. So I'll end up going in and tweaking this. But for instance, you get an odd PLA. You can actually put a temperature in here and click set, and it'll take off and it'll go to that temperature. Same with your bed temperature. You can manually set it, or you can choose it out of the menu, or turn it off. Control will show you your webcam if it's loaded. I do not currently have a camera hooked to this, and we're not going to cover that in this video because that's a whole video for itself. But you can control your XY home and your Z home, or individually adjust where your axes are. You can extrude through here, turn your motors off, turn your fans on and off, change your flow rates, that kind of stuff. Your G-code viewer, as the printer is printing, this will show you layer by layer what it's doing, which is pretty cool to watch. Terminal gives you a full functional terminal. So if you're doing any type of manual editing, or if you're doing an extruder calibration, you can actually send all the commands here manually. And time-lapse is time-lapse setup for your camera, which we don't have. But that's your basic use of Octoprint. It is really that easy to install. Once you've done it one time, it gets a lot easier each time after. Something to note, once in a while when you first install Octoprint, the first time you fire it up, you're going to get a message right here telling you that there's updates available. You can go out and run those updates. That's fine. If you need to shut your Pi down, come in through here, and you can actually shut it down or reboot it, or you can just restart the Octoprint. But do not just pull the power on your Octopi or on your Raspberry Pi. If you don't dismount everything, if you just pull the power, you stand a good chance of corrupting the SD card. And I know this from personal experience because, as I said in the beginning of the video, the Wi-Fi didn't work well for me. I kept losing connection to my Wi-Fi, and there was no way that I could get into it to shut it down properly. So I would just pull the power, and at one point it corrupted my 16 gig card to the point where I can't recover it yet. So that's why that one's running on an 8. So you definitely want to be able to come in and shut the system down properly and safely. Here is all of your settings. Here's where you can go back in and control your printer profile. If you have more than one printer, you can actually come in here and tick whichever one you want to be your default. Here's where you can set your temperatures. So as I said, 180 is too cold for me on PLA, so I'm going to actually bump that up to 200. I also, the cutoff on the grid, or on the graph, is a little long for me. I like to bring that down to about 20 minutes. It just it just shows a little bit more detail to me. Your mileage may vary. You can do it however you want to do it. Clicking save saves those changes. There's not really anything else in here that I want to walk you through in this video. If you need to change your access control or add other people, you do it here. plugins is definitely going to be a different video altogether. There are some pretty amazing plugins that you can do for this. So other than that, you're up and running. You can literally print or whatever you need to do. I don't know if you can see my Prusa back here, but just by clicking buttons, you can see my Z-axis is going up. So I have full control. I have full control of my printer from the computer, which I don't know why that's so amazing, but it is. But I mean, every printer has always been able to be controlled by a computer, regular paper printers, but I guess when you're used to using the 3D printer by the interface on the front, it becomes magical when you can do it from the computer. The biggest reason I run Octopi is because of not having to pull the SD card out of the machine to put the G code on it and send it. Octoprint can be configured to have a slicer right in it. You can feed it STLs and slice it right in Octoprint. You can actually set Octoprint up to work with some of the other slicer programs. I'm 99% sure that slicer, SLIC3R, does it. Simply 3D is supposed to do it, and I believe the new Cura does it too. The 2.62. Maybe they did it in 6.1, but if you have 6.1, get 6.2. They fix some things. But you're actually able to slice and shoot it right over. I haven't set that up yet. When I do, I'll make a video for that as well. If you'd like to see it, throw a comment down below. I hope this video was helpful. If you go through this video and you're setting up your Octopi and you're running into speed bumps, please reach out to me. Facebook, Twitter, our website, whatever. Just go to www.funking3d.com. All of our contact information is on there. You will reach me. I will help you out as much as I can, because if you're walking through our video and you're having problems, that means I did something wrong in this video and I need to go back and correct it. So it's a help me help you situation. I'm pretty sure, let me look real quick, but I think that's it. That's all the notes that I made to do this. It's running. We did it live. This was completely unset up. That was a brand new Pi and a brand new SD card, and we did it live with you. Yes, there is some movie magic in this video. I clipped out some things that weren't worth waiting on. But other than that, if I did it, you should be able to do it. And if you can't, I'm here for you. Reach out to me and we'll get you taken care of. Regular YouTube stuff, if you like what we're doing, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications. We thank you for watching our stuff, and reach out to us. Thumbs up, right? If you thumbs down us, leave us a reason why. And there's always that one most important thing. As always, print on.